wrong with. Like, for example, love and tolerance. Is that really my code? My code is more like, I know what you're doing wrong, and I see it, and it needs to be corrected, and, that sort of thing. It's like that's where my thinking goes. It's a negativity bias, right? So easy for me to look at the negative, harder for me to focus on the positive, right? What unmet wants and needs did food fulfill for me? Well, for me, at age 5, I discovered that carbs was a very effective sedative for me, and I like the effect, right? Some of y'all might not have started to mess with food that early, but I did, and it calmed me down. I lived in a kind of a stress-filled home life, and and that's when I started being sneaky about food, and especially carbs. Okay. Next thing is page 25 in the big book. There was nothing left for us but to pick up this simple kit of spiritual tools laid at our feet. We have found much of heaven, and we have been rocketed into the fourth dimension of existence, of which we had not dreamed. And I want to hear what y'all think the fourth dimension is. The great fact is just this. We need a great fact, don't we? And nothing less. We have had deep, effective spiritual experiences which have revolutionized our whole attitude toward life, towards our fellows, and towards God's universe. Okay, well, a writer that I like, she says, the thing about life is just so lifey. Can I forgive life for being what it is? Right? It needs to be a little bit better, right? It's hard, it's tough. And then what about our fellows? Is it okay for our fellows just to be human and flawed? Right? I think I thought with the promises and all that I was going to end up like a spiritual giant or something like that. And really, in some ways, I'm just as pitiful at applying these principles. But then on the other hand, because it's always a paradox, right? On the other hand, I get to have this light in my eyes. I get to have a normal sized body. I get to, have a higher power that sometimes flows through me to other people to where stuff's coming out of my mouth and I'm like, damn, that was good. It's like, it's not me, but it was good, so. And you get to experience that. And to me, that's part of the fourth dimension is to be able to have those moments like that. They're beautiful. The central fact of our lives today is the absolute certainty that our Creator has entered our hearts and lives in a way in which is indeed miraculous. Maybe we don't talk about miracles enough in here because I know another speaker earlier, he was talking about different things that were miracles. And man, there's a lot of those. But they're not just coincidences. I mean, something has to be at work for some of the way things have happened. And after a while, it's easy to lose sight of those when it's new and fresh and everything. It's different, but after a while, those can kind of lose their shine, and that needs to be kept alive. And if you're a seriously compulsive eater as we were, we believe there's no middle of the road solution. That's what I would like, a middle-of-the-road solution, not this extreme solution, right? We were in a position where life has become impossible. And if we had passed into a region from which there's no return through human aid but had two alternatives. One was to go on to the bitter end. Have y'all experienced the bitter end? Man, right? Terrible. blotting out. I couldn't blot it out when I was in relapse. I was miserable. The consciousness of our intolerable situations best we could, or to accept spiritual help. So spiritual help, to me, it's not just from God, it's from our fellows, it's from, the tools, it's from the application of the steps, right? I think at times, because I would take the freedom of the program for granted, I could get dissatisfied and bored, and think, what else? It's like, and I thought, I probably need to strap about 80 pounds on me and carry it around for a day. It's like, come on, this is so great. And how could I get dissatisfied or bored with it, But it happens. And usually for me it happens because I'm getting inconsistent. When I'm consistent about what I do, the times I call and all that, I have this real grounded, settled feeling, right? Things go smooth. I don't have this internal chatter I didn't call my sponsor yet. Right? When it's like clockwork, things go better for me, a lot better. I have more freedom and more just ease and more of a connection with God, I think, when it's consistent. And sometimes that doesn't happen, but even if I call and I don't get a hold of my sponsor, it still benefits me to stay consistent with it and not, and I want to do that more. We have to grow along spiritual lines. What does this mean to me? I had an experience yesterday at Office Depot making your handouts. And so I had a plan. I'm going to Office Depot because it's kind of a crappy store and it's usually not busy. Okay? So that's my expectation. In and out, right? I'm going there and get this 70 of these done because 70 people register. And so I'm dissatisfied just doing that, and nothing bad has even happened yet, right? Just that I have to be in there. But so they start making the copies, and the copier starts breaking down, and it broke down about 12 times. Oh, no. And my internal self-talk was like, what is going on? Can they get some better equipment in here? And, just everything that was wrong, right? But then, inside myself, I said, I'm glad you're here, God. And as soon as I heard that in my mind, then it was like a mist of love kind of infiltrated my thoughts. And it's like I started putting myself in their shoes. Man, golly, can you imagine having to answer a ringing phone and this copier keeps jamming and there's no privacy? You're just out in the middle of everybody with them all staring at you. And it was just like I had compassion, for these people. And one of them, I guarantee you, she works a better program than I did because she answered that phone, Office Depot, so lighthearted and kind. And she's right in the middle of this, and it was just like, man, that is impressive. And, the next time it broke down, like 2 copies came, and we're at 53 now. And I said, you know what, I think it's going to be enough. I think, whatever you got, I want it, and we're going to call it good, and I hope y'all have a better day, But me building up frustration, it's like, yeah, I got to get these copies and go up here and be spiritual at this assembly, and y'all are holding me up. Come on. What does it mean to grow spiritually? I'll tell you. I almost did not include this because it's an invitation for a guilt trip, okay? if God spoke to Cea-How, and hold on to your seat, it must be used unselfishly. It carries with it grave responsibility. No day can be too long. No demands upon your time can be too urgent. No case too pitiable. No task too hard. No effort too great. It must be used with tolerance. For I have restricted its application to no race, no creed, no denomination. Personal criticism you must expect. Lack of appreciation will be common. Ridicule will be your lot. Your motives will be misjudged. Success will not always attend your efforts in your work with others. So, yeah. It's like, really, God? Now, that was the olden days, okay? That was back. I know this was meant for back in the 30s, and not for us, but I think it was. I was listening to this thing about faith being a game changer, and these nuns that there was like 20 of them in Ireland, and they were all about helping the poor. And who's more poor than us? Poor in spirit, right? We are poor in spirit. And somehow down in Australia, they were having all these illnesses and stuff, and 5 nuns, 6 months on a boat to get to Australia, to go down there and develop a hospital, okay, for these sick people. And I thought, oh, this is not so bad. It's all in your perception, It's like, yeah. Can you imagine no bath for 6 months and wearing a habit, thing? Okay. Okay, so what has to happen? So if we could, all say the set-aside prayer together, I think that'd be cool. Do y'all have it? It's right under what has to happen. Would y'all like to say this with me? Okay. Dear God, help me to set aside everything I know about you, everything I know about myself, everything I know about others, everything I know about my own recovery, so that I can have a new experience in my fellows and a new experience in my recovery. All right, yeah, I love that. In Bill's story, he said, scales of pride and prejudice fell from my eyes. So, when I think about my own pride, I think, okay, well, I'm in the helping field, okay? And I give 100%. That's what I tell myself. I give 100%, and there's some kind of pride in that. And I get snooty about not being in denial. They're in denial. I'm not in denial. And I guarantee you, if I think I'm not in denial, I'm in denial about something. Yeah, right? Does that ever happen to y'all? When you make one of these proclamations and then immediately your higher power shows you, oh, here you go. That's the way mine works. I don't know about y'all. And then the definition of prejudice there, preconceived opinion that's not based on reason or actual experience. So I think, just back to that, I've heard it all, I've been here a long time, that type of thing, right? So that I'm not new and I'm not fresh, And if I don't stay new and I don't stay fresh, I'm gonna lose this. It's gonna slip away. I've got to be new. I've got to be excited. I've got to keep it alive for myself. And it talks about what new ideas do I need to adopt, And I'm the oldest child, so I was pressured really hard, bust your butt, work hard, some of y'all might not have been raised like that, but I was. And so it's hard for me to even let people help me do anything, you know. It's like I think I have to do everything. And it's a new idea I need to adopt more is that, you know, no, I don't have to give 100% to every single thing. It's like I won't even let God come in there and help me with stress, or I won't listen when I'm getting one of those prompts. You know, like I was under quite a bit of stress in the past couple of weeks, and you know, in my mind it was like I feel the knots in my neck, you know, back here. It's like, you need to go get a massage. But I ignored it, right? Just keep ignoring and ignoring instead of, okay, you know, let's go. Let's do it. You know, and I think it's going to be better for me to go home and lay on the couch. No, it's not, right? That's my idea. God's idea is go get a massage. You know, I'm too tired. No, you're not too tired to get a massage. You can go get a massage without making an appointment. You can do it in a chair. You can do it with your clothes on, right? There's so many ways to get a massage now, it's not even funny. You can do it. Okay, I included some outside literature, kind of outside, I guess. There's a book called Drop the Rock, Removing Character Defects, Steps 6 and 7 by Bill Pittman. And I liked a couple of his quotes. You know, that first one, I don't get to choose which defects God will remove. You know, I would like for God to remove my Reba McEntire accent, and I like to, you know, just ooze grace and love, and you know, talk in a silky, appropriate voice and all that. But I'm kind of porcupine-ish, you know. I've got some little quills that come out, and you know, I don't know if that'll ever get removed. I need to quit thinking about it, though. I know that, because if I'm thinking about it, then I'm not, you know.
It's not a flaw, Teresa.
I'm not entirely ready, is all I'm saying. I'm not entirely ready if I keep thinking about what God needs to do, right? And he goes on to say, I was wrong, not bad. I didn't look bad, but I didn't get my needs met, so ignorantly, apparently insanely and desperately repeated what I knew more and more and more, less and less. Deprivation and overconsumption are the flip sides of the same coin. The point of recovery is finding the balance. And I like that because I can so relate to that, just doing this, just grasping for anything, you know, to try to get out of this terrible situation that is relapse. And I think for me, prayer has been underutilized. I like baby prayers, okay? But I think I have to go beyond that. It says prayer is of no use when it's not used. Prayer is not only a matter of belief, it's a matter of practice. We can't get caught in the trap of dogma or method. Prayer is not about right or wrong or should or only. It's about a person, an individualized way of talking to God, higher power, universal energy, whatever you want to call it. Prayer is not about someone else telling us how to pray or what to say. It's about communication. And I think sometimes I would kind of get caught up with praying only for God's will and the power to carry it out, right? Well, anything I'm asking for that's making me not hurt people, it's got to be God's will. Or helping me be abstinent, or making me more kind and tolerant. You know, I don't have to worry about that much, right? And like I said, my prayers were mostly like, help me, you know. I'm doing it all, and then I'm crashing and burning. God, help me. You know, and so then I want help, right? So biggie prayers, end of the rope prayers, that kind of stuff. But now, at times, I wish it was like this all the time. It's more like a just talk. I talk to myself. I don't know if y'all do, but like it's like, okay, gotta get this done. Come on, now let's do this. Let's do. You know, when I'm under pressure, work and all that, and when I can translate over that to also talking to my higher power that way. okay, come on, we're doing this still. Not just me. Come on, and more of an integration. Because my operating system just wants to just me do it, right? And then crash and then beg God to help after I've done that. So it's more of an integration of, like an invisible friend that's with me all the time. That's a voice coming from my heart, not from my head. We have to have huge, say it with me, huge emotional displacements and rearrangements. Yeah, okay. And then under displacement, it says the mind substitutes either a new aim or new object for goals felt in their original form could be dangerous or unacceptable. Not us. Us have goals that are dangerous or unacceptable? Yeah. I'm going to let y'all give examples on that one. And then on the vital spiritual experiences, it says, what once were the guiding forces are cast aside and a new set of conceptions and motives, ... What new motives might I need? Well, I can tell you what I wanted. I wanted to eat what I wanted and not gain weight and be happy and successful. I didn't want all this sacrifice, this discipline, I thought that was a bad word. Can y'all look at, is my own house in order? I left a real important one off that I should have put on there. This is like dry drunk stuff here, okay? Complaining. I really like to complain. I don't like saying that. I don't even like admitting it. But I like to nobly complain, right? Complain about the injustice at work and all the paperwork I have to do that takes away from my time with my clients. And I like to rage against the machine, That's what and to me it's like, oh, well, that's noble complaining, right? No, it's just negative, right? That's all it is. But that's that's a favorite of mine. It kind of goes back to me being in the helping field. So take a look at those, It's like that balance between, I never knew either that self-centeredness was like thinking about what's wrong with me all the time either. I thought that was just about, well, I want what I want. But if I'm thinking about what's wrong with me all the time, there's a difference, right? The big book tells us we do an inventory of fact-finding, fact-facing mission. It's just the facts, ma'am. It's not, oh, what's wrong with me? Constantly that belly button gazing of what's wrong with me. It's like move on, expand out from my belly button, Get out and check out what's going on with other people. So look at that. Look at those. I think, ambivalence is something that happens after you've been here for a while. Whatever. I think sometimes I lost sight of, I know my very first time I relapsed after having a period of years was because my life was full of good things. Really good things. I found my groove. I had found the field I wanted to work in. I was jamming. I loved it, right? I loved it so much that I, didn't really want to drive 40 miles to a meeting, And so I started missing a few meetings. I never intended to relapse. I never intended to do any of that. And then, my sponsees dropped off. Well, I wasn't at that many meetings. And so before I knew it, unintentionally, I was unhooking, I was unhooking from the program because my life was full of good things. So, first things first, it's like sometimes the good things can get me, or just feeling like this is an obligation more than it is, a blessing. This is a blessing. I'm good at the victim mentality. Like, why do I have to go? Why do I have to be a compulsive overeater? That's not a cool thing to be. Couldn't it be something else that's easier to talk to people about? This is, whew, And then, of course, we can look at unrealistic expectations. My serenity is inversely proportionate to my expectations. Y'all know this. You read that acceptance stuff, thousands of times probably. The higher my expectations are of other people, the lower my serenity. And if I stop and I examine my expectations of those around me, my mom, my daughter, my sponsor, my peers, what are those, And then my rights move in, forces my serenity level down. Y'all know that, and I'll let you finish reading it. Am I thinner and crazy? What am I doing about the crazy? Right? How do I know I'm insane? I'm starting to get a little insane, right? How do I recognize it? What kind of little things can I pick up on that is like, oh, really? I think my program has to go from my head to my heart. It's got to expand in my heart. I got to have passion for it. Passion. A strong or extravagant fondness, right? An extravagant fondness for this program. Enthusiasm. Desire for anything. I found myself thinking about, because of all the stress I've been in, don't take this personally, but it's like, man, I'll be glad when the assembly's over. What? I'm about to be blessed. But it just, the amount of responsibilities that often I don't let my higher power help me with, it seems like a lot. It seems like a lot to give up my Saturdays to go to assembly meetings. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about, planning meetings and stuff like that. But you know what? It gives me that gift of abstinence. It gives me that gift of service. It gives me that gift of being with you guys here today and getting to experience this beautiful blessing that's going to carry me for a while, Cynicism, it's too much work. Look at the world. Look at our political situations. Look at how many burdens I'm carrying, right? I carry way too many burdens. I carry more than my share. I think about them too much. And I think that comes from self-importance. I think when I'm humble, it's like, just today, just make it to bedtime, just do the best you can, just easy, lighthearted, right? That's how I know I'm spiritually fit, if I'm lighthearted. When I'm not lighthearted and I'm taking things personally and I'm taking myself too seriously and I'm so important, and what's going to happen if I don't blah, 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 then I just get in that kind of miserable place, a place that's not spiritual. $132 Club. We are not a glum lot. Are we having fun yet? The big book says we'd be reasonably happy. Can we at least give a woohoo for reasonably happy? Okay. We're not going to be ecstatic all the time, right? If newcomers could see no joy or fun in our existence, they wouldn't want it. We absolutely insist on enjoying life. Are y'all insisting on that today? Yes. We try not to indulge in a cynicism over the state of the nations, nor do we carry the world's troubles on our shoulders. And I'm going to read you something real quick from the 12 and 12. In step 12 it says, These little studies of AA's 12 steps now come to a close. We've been considering so many problems that it may appear AA consists mainly of racking dilemmas and troubleshooting. To a certain extent, that's true. We have been talking about problems because we are problem people who have found a way up and out, who wish to share our knowledge of that way with all who can use it. For it is only by accepting and solving our problems that we can begin to get right with ourselves and with the world around us, and with Him who presides over all. Understanding is the key to right principles and attitudes, and right action is the key to good living. Therefore, the joy of good living is the theme of AA's 12th step. With each passing day of our lives, may every one of us sense more deeply the inner meaning of AA's simple prayer. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Absolutely. Let's stick together. We have to stick together. We can't do this if we don't stick together. That's hard for me. It's hard for me to let people be close, but I have many people in here who I'm very close to. And our common welfare comes first. Not my welfare, our common welfare. What's best for all of us? I can't wait to hear y'all sharing. I have no idea what time it is. If somebody could tell me, I don't know if we're out of time.
11:45.
Okay, how much time do we have for sharing, Karen?
About 5 minutes.
About 5 minutes. So I'll ask you to come up here and share briefly, maybe 30 seconds to a minute. See how many people we can get in. Please come up and share with us. Anybody, any takers? Come on, Richard. All right.
Thanks. Richard Kapulski here. This is very short, so next person come on up. Sponsor one time told me, we don't leave intentionally. Hardly anybody says, you know what, I'm going to quit going to those meetings. I'm going to stop being abstinent. We back out a little bit at a time, and that's what I've done when I've done it. Glad to be back. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Anybody else? Got any examples you want to share or anything? Here she comes. All right.
Thank you. And I love Reba McEntire.
There we go.
So, yeah, I guess it's your perspective. Yeah. So, I love what you said about inconsistency. So, I wrote something, and my name is Barbara, and I'm a compulsive eater. So, I wrote, inconsistency will cause chaos, confusion, and calamity. Consistency causes clarity, calm, and close consciousness with our healing higher power God. And that's because we have a disciplined and structured approach that really does work when we work it consistently. So thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. I hope you'll take the material. Oh, come on, Martin.
I'm in Relapse right now.
Oh, come on, Martine. You're brave.
Well, technically, it's not supposed to. I don't even know anymore. Because I don't have any abstinence for abstinence requirements. So anyway, my name's Martine.
Hi, Martine.
And I have said this to my home group, but I want to say it to everyone here. When it says abstinence is the greatest service, as a person who is in relapse and who has been in relapse before, it is the greatest service, because there are times when I haul my fanny to a meeting and all I see is the eyes of people who are abstinent, and I can't hear anything and I can't do anything else, but I can see hope in that room, because there are people who are living through their lives abstinently. So as a person who is in relapse, I can tell you that just showing up at those meetings and just being on the phone bridge meetings and the after meetings. Those are so important. I know it's easy when I have been abstinent to forget about service and forget how it ministers to, it's kind of a churchy word, but anyway, it has the effect in this magic God math world we live in of being a balm to the soul and the spirit of those who are still in the disease. So I just want to thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's a fabulous share.
Thank you so much for sharing. My name's Debbie. I'm a call leader.
Hi.
And I started coming around in 1998. It took me 10 years to put any time together. For 10 years I struggled with this disease, and for all my life, since I was 13, I can remember I was over 200 pounds. And what you said about, God doesn't give you just one chance, because I had many chances, and I asked him, and as many times as I asked him, he would help me. But I threw it away, and my will got me over 200 pounds, and that's what I do when I'm compulsively eating. But today I stand before you with over 11 years of abstinence. And it's only by the grace of God that I know that every day I am a newcomer. Every day I'm powerless. Every day my life is unmanageable by my own power. And it is a miracle to be abstinent. And when I say, I don't have to do this stuff, I get to do this stuff. Like, I get to save my life. I get to, jump out of an airplane and pull the ripcord. That's what they say when we suggest you do something. It saves your life, and I get to do those things on a daily basis. And I don't have to live like I used to. And that is a freaking miracle. So it is by the grace of God. Every day I know it. So thanks for letting me share. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all for being here and for your sharing, your participation, your attention. And if nobody's told you they love you today, I want to tell you that right now. I love you. Keep loving each other, and let's keep going forward.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's give her a applause.
Well, next is the most important part. Lunch. So